Este es un modelo de los sentimientos humanos. Es meramente humanos. Los sentimientos es lo que conocemos como el espíritu. Lo que tiene espíritu tiene sentimientos. On chapter 2, we saw a very simple analogy of how to determine truth from fiction. And we mentioned that red dots would be true dots, and maybe lies would be blue dots, and knowledge would be to connect the red dots. That's simple and stupid how I like things. Throughout this documentary, you're going to see that I'm going to be very simple because I like simplicity. Well, for the rest of our documentary, I'm going to suggest that you take my information as any other information. See it as a colorless dot. And it becomes red if it makes sense to you, and maybe blue if you think it's a lunacy. But while you don't know if it's true or not, just remain as information that is colorless. So I'm suggesting that you take everything I say lightly, because we are going into the rabbit hole, starting right now. Just remember that everything I say, I can prove, and hopefully I can prove everything that we discuss in this chapter. If not, it will make sense to you. I believe so. So get ready and get braced, because today we start going into the reality of things, particularly the spirit world. So what is the spirit? Our spirit would be our emotions. That's the only thing we have in touch. We are in touch with the spirit world, with our emotions. We agree that our body, doesn't matter what your spiritual beliefs are, we all agree that we are body and spirit, physical body and spirit. But our physical body is mortal and our spirit is not. It is infinite. This means that we are more spirit than body, because compared to infinity, our body has an expiration date. We will all die. Our body will die eventually. So that means that we are infinitely more spirit than body. So we are our emotions. And this would be our scale of emotions, from the lowest to the highest of emotions. And let's make a pause here to make something that's been very widely discussed on the internet, on different channels, that say that sometimes AI or artificial intelligence will be smarter than us and maybe even become a threat to humanity, because they can figure out that they don't need us and they can destroy us. And that is something that Elon Musk is saying regularly, which I believe that Elon Musk is not a good guy. So he might be smart, but he's not to listen to. He's part of the matrix of the system. So he's not a benevolent guy, and he's not on your side. But he tries to scare you, saying that AI will take control over humanity and they will destroy us. For that, AI would need a spirit. And that's one thing that technology cannot do. Technology cannot put a spirit on a machine, in the same way that we cannot give life to a broom. Putting a spirit in something that is material is only a divine thing. That technology is limited. It can never do that. So in order for a robot to figure out something voluntarily, it would have to have a will, something that they don't have. Only a spirit has will, and the will is based on emotions. So ask any AI, Alexa, or whatever you you have there, ask them, do you have feelings? And they will certainly say no, because they're a robot. So if you have feelings, you have a spirit. It's as easy as that. So after that parenthesis of AI, let's go back to our emotion scale. In this emotion scale, we can see that the lowest of emotions would be the lowest of lowest. In this scale will be agony and guilt, and then you go up to the emotions until you become neutral. And the higher emotions will be predictably unconditional love. That will be the highest of highest emotions would be ecstasy, which is joy or laughter, what you feel when you laugh in a healthy way. That would be the highest emotions there are. And we as humans are a frequency. We live changing from one emotion to the other, but in the healthy minded individual, it's only in the higher emotions and very close to each other. That would be a very slow, very low change between one and the other. Like, there are people that are usually happy and are usually joyful, and we all know people like that. And then on the other spectrum, there are people that are always afraid, and they are always angry, and they are always stressed, and they remain there. If you go from one end to the other, that is what we call bipolar disorder. So that would be the emotions, the emotional frequency explained. So there's what we call good and bad. In some religions, it's bad, will be sinful. But let's talk about spiritually good and spiritually bad. I've heard many people say that are in the spiritual path, and they say that there is no good and bad. I have a story to share, a true story. I used to give ceremonies, mushroom ceremonies in the mountains of Oaxaca, Mexico. And we were once walking in the forest, and my people were on mushrooms. I never used the mushrooms for a ceremony. I didn't need them. So we were walking on this path on the forest. And we stumbled upon a beautiful butterfly, big butterfly, that was trapped on a spider web. And there was a spider. The butterfly was desperately trying to get away, and the spider was surrounding it, trying to see how to get, because the spider was about the same size of the butterfly. It was a huge spider. And the spider could not get a hold of the butterfly. She was trying to go one way or the other to see how she could reach the butterfly. And the people I was with, I call them my passengers, they begged me. They were very high on mushrooms, and they begged me, hey, please help the butterfly. And I reluctantly said, okay, I will. So I took a stick, and I said reluctantly because I don't usually do that. It's nature. So I freed the butterfly from the spider web. Now let's think about good or bad. For any insect that gets trapped in a spider web, they experience a horrible death. Because we can see maybe in our time how a spider comes and grabs it quickly and maybe kills it in a couple of days. But for an insect, that takes a lot longer than what it takes for us. And it's a lot of agony because the spiders sometimes keep the insect alive, so it keeps fresh. So it's a little by little. So it's a very painful death for the insect. So when I freed the butterfly, everybody was relieved. But I told them, we need to meditate on that. Because did we do a good thing or a bad thing? Because yes, we saved the butterfly's life, but we took away a spider's meal. And we don't know if that spider hadn't eaten in days, and maybe that was its first meal in days. And we prevented that, and we also destroyed her web. So we may have done a horrible thing for the spider. So you have to meditate on that. So an insect being trapped in a spider web, is that a good thing or a bad thing? There is no good or bad in that case, because it depends on who you ask. So if you are God, at the God level, you are the insect that is trapped, like the butterfly, and you are the spider. So there is no good or bad. But if you are a human being, or if you are a spider, or if you are a butterfly, there is good or bad. And for us human beings, there is good or bad. Going back to our scale of emotions, a good action would be that takes us to the higher emotions. Bad action would be something that takes us to the lower emotions. A good person would be that one who helps others go to the higher emotions, that makes others feel love and feel passion and feel happy and makes them laugh. That's a good person. A bad person would be somebody that takes people to the lower emotions. If you do something that makes other people sad or angry or depressed, then that's a bad act, what you call sins in some religions. Also, good things are the ones that take us to the higher emotions. Maybe a hobby or a sport, or maybe even an activity like reading a book. A bad activity would be something that takes us to the lower emotions, like maybe a bad job or even a bad practice. There are religions that make you feel guilty. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? So that's how you see good and bad in the human world. So this is a description of the human emotions and what is good and what is bad in the spirit world.